Jungkook made himself a little comfortable and cracked his neck. So, cry baby Kitty Kong, you are now Kitty Kim. And I was wondering from where you got so much courage to splash water on me. He smirked. Indeed, it's your household, Kitty Kim, and that's why you deserve the first spoon of your favorite ice cream flavor. He took a spoonful of mint chocolate chip ice cream and raised the spoon like he intended to feed her. Wayne took the spoon and reversed its direction. Thanks, but no thanks. I don't like the taste of frozen toothpaste at all. I guess my husband took this stuff specially for you, so enjoy it, Uppa. They was quietly noticing her actions. Indeed, she was nervous. She was cracking her knuckles out of her nervousness, but her voice was stern, though her legs under the table was literally shaking in nervousness. They sensed a cold war was about to take place in his apartment. Both the opponents were looking determined. The big bunny was trying to calm himself down while his kitten wife was trying her best to act like a tiger. He took a spoonful of vanilla flavored ice cream and gently fed Van. What's going on? Will you tell me? His sudden interference, his serious voice was enough to give her goosebumps. He noticed how her body hair raised, but she managed to eat the spoonful of vanilla flavored ice cream, of which she wasn't fond of that much. I think your brother thinks that I have stolen you from him. Van smirked and licked the melted leftover ice cream from the spoon. That's vanilla, it means Young still doesn't know what you like. And you have already started celebrating your victory. You think you have stolen him from me. You think you can do that, Kitty Kim. You are overconfident this time. Jungkook raised his eyebrows in triumph. You are right, Uppa. He doesn't know my taste. You know what? I don't want to pressurize his brain. That would be faster process to forget you. That's why. Van smirked. She could sense rest of the 6 pair of eyes were fixed on her. She was trying her best to act cool while everyone was trying to figure out why they were fighting. You were important, Uppa, and you must start to believe in my words. Trust me. He loves you, but not more than me. One chuckled. Jungkook smirked. Really? This one was a good one. Joke. I mean, Young doesn't even know what flavored ice cream you like, and you're saying I am still the one he adores the most. Okay, respected patroness of fallacies. I can take your point as correct, but tell me, did he call you before signing on the marriage registration papers? Van smirked devilishly. Oh, you guys are fighting over Taeyang. Come on, he's not at all, Jimin interrupted. And that made Jungkook frown. Indeed, Taehyung is not a toy, but the base of our enmity was centered on a toy. Jimin managed to gulp down the food he was chewing. First of all, you are a Busan boy, and if I'm not wrong, she's a Daegu girl. When? Why I'm feeling like you were aware of everything? Tell me. This voice was stern, and that made Jungkook to smirk. Indeed, it was noticed by Van. She gulped down heavily. Yoongyo asked me what gift I wanted as I had topped in my class. And I actually didn't ask for that, though I wanted that. And I guess he got to know about that from his mom. And he gave me that. When uttered and Jungkook interrupted aggressively. Yoongi brought that for me. Yoongi finally participated. But I brought two, one for Jungkook and another for Van. Anime, you gave her the first one, Jungkook complained. Don't tell me you two are arguing because of that. The eldest gently pinched Van's chin and smiled. Anio, Jungkook thinks his youngs love him the most, but in reality, before giving him the Iron Man figure Yoongi brought for him, he gifted me the figure he brought for me. And his Taehyung didn't even feel the need of inform his only maknae. Even Jinoppa tried to stop me as he knows that he can't stop a stupid bunny. One smiled. Except Jungkook, everyone presented in the room was aware of the fact that one was cleverly teasing Jungkook. Van stopped. Jungkook is tired. They gritted his teeth, and Yoongi supported his sister. Continue, Goyangi. This is very entertaining. Yoongi knew he wasn't in the position of supporting anyone particular, so he turned to Jungkook and whispered in his ear. Tell her, if you say, Taehyung would not touch her. But he won't if we stay in the living room. Jungkook asked Yoongi in confusion. Exactly. Yoongi winked. Taehyung, I'm recording. Jungkook desperately took the phone from his pocket and started recording. Tell me, no, promise me. You were not going to leave my side for tonight. You were going to spend the whole night with me, with us. The ball was on Taehyung's court. What if you guys exchange your Iron Man figure with each other? The only solution they could find to make peace between Van and Jungkook. Taehyung, your neighbors are definitely going to complain. Hobie interrupted while chewing the last bite of his food. They rubbed his forehead and looked at Van and Jungkook. Answer me, Cook. Jungkook was about to nod, but Van whispered to trigger him. So, you can give away your Hyung in exchange for an old Iron Man figure? They looked at her in disbelief. How she cleverly triggered Cook. Everyone was done with the dinner. They literally ignored both the Tom and Jerry and headed towards the sink area. Jungkook took the last spoon of the mint chocolate ice cream and placed the tub on the dining table. I'm your guest. Now clean your household, Kim Crybaby Kitten. I'm going to take over your bed. You need to learn that you must never make me angry again in the future. Van smirked and took the empty ice cream tub. Then select your playlist and don't forget to charge up your AirPod. Otherwise, you might hear something you won't be able to forget. Van smiled and offered him some wet wipes to clean his hands. Jungkook was seething in anger. He threw the used wipes in the bin after cleaning. His foot were stopped just in front of Taehyung's and Van's bedroom. Looking at Van, he grinned devilishly and shut the door loudly after entering into that. The eldest decided to help her with the dishes. You did everything intentionally? I'm used to with you, giving me instructions, your scoldings, but I think I won't be able to endure your sympathetic words. So I decided to irritate Jungkook Oppa, and believe me, Taehyung is angry and he will be angry for next few days. Van smiled brightly while cleaning the dishes. Van, I know your condition, and also I am aware of your health condition, but you know that Jungkook loves Taehyung. He might refuse to share him with you, though he knows that you are Taehyung's wife. He is too straightforward when it comes anything related to us. Jin gently pinched on her cheek. Understand? I don't think he wants to hear me. He would definitely throw anything to me now. I mean, if I was him, I would do the same. So I will apologize tomorrow, but believe me, I was enjoying. Actually, I wanted to irritate Taeyang, but I didn't dare to. Will you let me do so? First, clear things with Jungkook. You have whole life to irritate your husband, so before messing up, you must sort everything out. Otherwise, it would be tough. Jin was almost done with wiping up all the wet dishes when he noticed Taeyang. He started examining him. Looking at the expression in his eyes and face showed that he was not angry at all. It means Taeyang was there and heard everything when had shared with me, Jin thought. As Jin knew Taeyang very well, he guessed Taeyang might trick her. Taeyang patted on Jin's shoulder and whispered, "Good night, Hyang." Jin willfully stepped aside and they stood on his place. Obviously, one didn't notice as she was busy arranging the washed and clean dishes. "Oppa, give me the bowl, please." And she literally flinched. "You? Yummy? Are you surprised or?" They raised his eyebrows in a teasing manner, but Wen calmly answered him, "I'm surprised. Now please give me the last bowl from the counter." They gave her the bowl and waited until she was done with arranging everything. "You are getting late for your medicine." These words were enough to make her sweat as she remembered how the eye drop just leaves a burning sensation every time, and probably this time he would leave her alone, or maybe it was just a reminder she might have to do all by herself. Van had already activated the double bunny mode, so Jungkook had occupied the room where they and she usually sleeps, and because of that, she knew her sleeping arrangements would be done on the apparently small bed in the study room. Van always wanted to look at the collection of Taehyung's books. Of course, they have never restricted her from doing that, but for some unknown reason, she hadn't fulfilled the desire of the bookworm inside her. To look gloomy, she kept looking at the floor. When they cleared his throat, Jungkook is a little angry and exhausted. He has occupied our room, so I think we have to sleep in the study. They both stepped into the study room and Van finally realized what they just said. "We have to sleep in the study room. It means he's not going to leave me alone. He will be there with me, but he would definitely switch off all the lights and I won't be able to see his collection of books. Does he only want the mad books like Yu-Gi-Oh? She finally raised her face and looked at him, and realized they was already staring at her. "What?" she asked in a shaky voice. "I or the Iron Man figure?" they asked. He was so close to Van that she could feel his hot breath fanning on her neck. "Answer me. In words, Van." "Why are you asking this question?" Van stammered. "You are aware of Jungkook's nature. He is overprotective of me." They started taking steps towards Van and unintentionally Van started taking backward steps. "So whom would you choose, Van?" "You know nothing about the Iron Man figure. I just wanted to tease Oppa. That's it." Van tried to defend herself. Jungkook is not that kind of person who would be angry over casual things. He reacted. "Moreover, in the tiny backpack you brought when you escaped from the dorm, if I'm not wrong, you had chosen the Iron Man figure along with your important documents." They kept taking slow steps. When gulped down as she felt her back touched the wall. "You have deposited that figure under my superintendence. So, tell me the truth. Why it is so important to you?" His eyes were blazing in anger. Cause it was the first time when Yungyoppa chose me over Jankuguppa. Cause it was the first time when anyone in the world chose me over somebody, and Jankugoppa knew that he was given at the last. And both of us couldn't digest the fact. Actually, Yungyoppa met me first, so he gave me first, and one could feel her throat was getting dry. They slammed the wall. Would you like to sacrifice me or the Iron Man figure? They could sense that his anger was getting out of his control and it was just a toy, but he didn't want to be the one whom one would sacrifice for a trivial toy. I will give him the toy. No, I have deposited the toy under your superintendence. If you want, you can give him the toy. If it was anyone, any living object, even if it was one of the students who criticized me at the forum page, I would choose him or her instead of the Iron Man figure. But please don't destroy that. That's indeed lifeless, but that was the first something that made me feel special. Jungkook is someone who is adored by all of you, and as I got that before him, I couldn't believe it was real. More than that, it was something I wanted and I was gifted. I know I'm sounding childish, but yeah. They closed his eyes. It took a few moments to calm himself down. He could feel the warmth when one uttered his name. He just realized how casually cruel he was a few moments ago. I'm sorry. He pecked on the tip of her nose and gently took her into his arms and laid her down on the bed. Help me with the drop first. When requested, and they frowned. Why? As he was about to pop the tablet from its packaging. They took the eye drop. Keep your eyes open. One was looking at the roof when she heard this little ho, and instinctively she closed her eyes. She realized they just pranked her. In spite of rolling her eyes, she chose her precious smile this time. This was funny, but hurry up. They nodded, and without wasting time, he helped her with the eye drop. She was closing her eyes and trying her best to hide her wrecked side. You are still not used to with the eye drop, they asked while arranging the oral medicines for Ben. This pain is excruciating. Give me the medicine, it's too bitter. Ben winced. They made her seated on the bed. Open your mouth. Are you gonna feed me the medicine yourself? She faintly smiled while trying to find where Taehang was. As you wish, Kittenkin. One could sense him smiling silently. She felt a small peck on her chin just before her tongue was realized with the bitter taste of the medicine. Soon she could feel Tae's hand supporting her neck. The rim of the glass was touching her lower lips. She took a big sip and managed to gulp down the medicine. It was been a few minutes. The burning sensation was reduced, so one slowly, carefully opened her eyes and they were still there, carefully looking at her. Is it still bitter? They asked while kissing her hairs. She smiled. No. She paused for a moment and took a deep breath. It's getting late. Oppos are waiting for you. Go, join them. Why? They raised his eyebrows. Because it's your Bankan boys gathering. One shrugged her shoulder. But you know them. None of them would let me stay with them. They playfully pinched her nose. You mean you are going to stay with me? Really? When asked enthusiastically, but they hushed her. Jungkook is sleeping in our bedroom. He can come anytime and take me with him. They warned her. Then go. Wen turned her face away and rolled her eyes. You know him, but even if I go to his room by myself, he won't let me to stay with him because he is fully aware that you will be sleeping alone in this room. And they gradually hovered over her. and I am going to be blind soon. When completed the sentence by choosing the words she preferred, but she felt a gentle tap on her forehead. Wrong, Kitty Kim. He took his face close to the crook of her neck and inhaled. I'm addicted to your smell. His hot breath was fanning her neckline, while his lips were leaving small pecks on her collarbone area. They was doing nothing, yet it was so that she almost lost all her controls over her mind. She tried her best to suppress her. Jungkook Oppa won't spare me if. She panted. Her words kind of forced him to smirk. I think your Jungkook Oppa won't spare you if you give up so early. Rather, he would be happy if you me tonight. They started rubbing his nose, his not so freshly shaved chin. He touched every single sweet spot while his hand started unzipping her dress. One's mind was already in haze. Her body was desperately craving for his warm breathing, the faint stinging sensation of his stubbles. Her breath was about to get hitched and she. They patiently detached the dress from her body, though he just wanted to rip that off from her body. But he wanted to tease her. He wanted to make her hungry for him. He was kind of enjoying seeing her in a mess. Her sark was enough to trigger him. He wanted to hear more. His long fingers were properly incorporating his palm to pierce every square inch of her body. She came. Louder, Van. Jungkook must hear my name even if he is dreaming. They started nibbling and she couldn't endure his teasing anymore. They, she panted. Her vision was still blurry. Stop teasing me. She panted heavily and grabbed the waistband of his trousers. Don't waste time. Are you sure? They stopped and asked in a teasing manner. While Van was panting, she was on her highest level. She cursed as they was teasing her patience. He smiled and kissed her hairs. I can't, you, wifey. It's called making. Don't curse. Though Van was getting impatient, but his sweet words sounded calming. They placed a peck on her forehead before adjusting himself with her, but she grunted, and that reminded him that it was her first time. He wanted to use his voice to comfort her verbally, but he instinctively chose his lips to kiss her. He felt her muscles were refusing to loosen up. His heart almost skipped a bit as he tried to assemble her mental condition. Fixing his eyes on her, his fingers kept working on her. Maybe I'm overthinking, maybe she's overexcited. His thoughts were interrupted as Van panted heavily. Kim Taehyung, just make. Relax, kitten. You are too tight. I just want to make it less painful. He kept caressing her hairs. No, you're not. I mainly use cups. She panted heavily as his thumb was too rough on her. Her liquid was all over his fingers. He hovered over her. Van, relax. Breathe in, breathe out. He adjusted himself before start. Gritting her teeth, she was trying her best to endure the pain. He was only halfway across when she felt like her she was getting torn apart. I can't, please, she cried helplessly. They pulled out as soon as possible and looked at her. She had crouched in pain while panting heavily, tears continuously flowing down her cheeks, sweat glistening her fair skin. The self-possessed girl was at her most vulnerable. I'm sorry. She tried to whisper, but she couldn't. They wasn't shocked. He was only thinking that what he thought in his mind might not come true. Quickly adjusted the temperature of the room before taking her weak body into his embrace. Hope, your body is just nervous. I hope. It's not what I'm thinking, Van. Van was tired, exhausted. Her eyes were closed, but her mind was working. She was mentally embarrassed. She could feel his heartbeats, his warm embrace. She felt so undeserving, incapable, unworthy. Warm tears started flowing down her cheeks, even though she tried to stay still, but a tremor was felt in her body. Stop crying, Van. His voice was soft yet husky. He wasn't angry, but he was trying to comfort her, and that made her break down even more. Stop crying, otherwise, Junk could take me from this room. They patted on her shoulder and she smiled. Nay, you will be alright. We will be alright. Don't think too much. Just close your eyes. They backhugged her and sniffed her neckline.